The grand ballroom of the Grand Regent Hotel was filled with elite billionaires, classical music, and flashing cameras. But for Arya, the room felt like it was suffocating her. She stood near the crystal champagne fountain, smoothing down the fabric of her tailored red velvet evening gown. It was tight, hugging her generous, hourglass curves beautifully. For the first time in years, she felt confident, bold, striking, until he showed up. Well, look who managed to squeeze herself into a dress. A mocking voice sneered from behind. Arya froze. She turned around to see Mark, her ex-husband. He was holding a glass of wine, looking at her with pure disgust. Did you honestly think a tight dress would hide all that extra weight, Arya? Mark laughed loudly, deliberately drawing the attention of the nearby guests. Look around you. This is a high society event. Nobody here wants a heavy girl. You look ridiculous. You don't belong in this world. Arya's confidence shattered instantly. Tears pricked her eyes as the elite guests began to whisper and stare. She wanted the floor to swallow her whole. But before a single tear could fall down Arya's cheek, the temperature in the ballroom dropped to absolute zero. The whispers died down instantly. The classical music seemed to fade into the background as heavy, commanding footsteps echoed across the marble floor. From the shadows of the VIP lounge, a man stepped forward. It was Anthony Valenti, the ruthless head of the Valenti crime syndicate. Anthony was a towering presence, tall, with a massive, muscular bodybuilder frame that filled his custom black suit perfectly. His chiseled jawline was sharp, and his straight, neatly trimmed beard gave him the look of a dark king. His intense, pitch-black eyes were locked directly on Mark. Anthony walked straight past the crowd and stopped right behind Arya. Without a word, he placed his large, warm hand firmly on Arya's waist, pulling her flush against his solid chest in a possessive, unyielding grip. Mark's face drained of all color. His glass trembled in his hand as Anthony tilted his sharp head, his voice coming out as a dark, low, gravelly rumble that sent shivers down everyone's spine. Repeat what you just said to her, Anthony commanded. Mark swallowed hard, breaking into a cold sweat. Mr. Valenti, she's my ex-wife, I was just joking. Anthony stepped forward, forcing Arya to move with him, never letting go of her waist. His chiseled face was inches away from Mark's trembling nose. Then, he delivered the ultimate dark threat. Just 7 words that destroyed Mark's entire world. Apologize to my queen, or bleed out. To understand how Arya ended up at the mercy of the city's most ruthless mafia boss, we have to go back to the beginning of her nightmare. Arya had never been the typical society girl. She possessed striking, unforgettable facial features. But her body was heavy, defined by deep, prominent curves that she spent most of her life trying to hide under baggy clothes. Her insecurities hadn't grown overnight. They were carefully, brutally cultivated by the one man who was supposed to love her. Mark had married Arya for her family's connections and the quiet, brilliant intellect she possessed. Arya was a master of corporate finance, capable of turning failing businesses into multi-million-dollar empires with a few strokes of her pen. But behind closed doors, Mark spent every single day tearing her down. He would stare at her body with open disgust, making cruel remarks about her size, telling her that no other man would ever look at a woman with her figure. For 3 years, Arya endured the mental torture. She ran Mark's logistics company from the shadows, making him wealthy while he treated her like an embarrassing secret. The breaking point came when Arya discovered Mark was cheating on her with a slender, high-profile model. When she confronted him, Mark didn't even deny it. He simply laughed, looked her up and down and said, "Look at yourself, Arya. You're a heavy, chubby girl. Did you really think a man of my stature would stay faithful to someone who looks like you?" He divorced her, stripped her of her position in the company, and left her with nothing but her broken dignity. Arya retreated into isolation, vowing never to let another man close enough to hurt her. She threw herself into her work, opening a boutique consulting firm that specialized in high-risk corporate restructuring. She thought she was safe in her quiet, invisible world. She didn't know that her brilliance had caught the attention of the most dangerous predator in the underworld. Anthony Valenti didn't care about society's narrow standards of beauty. He was a man of raw instinct, power, and absolute dominance. For months, his intelligence network had been tracking Aria's work. The Valenti Empire needed someone who could clean up their legitimate corporate fronts. Someone fiercely loyal, devastatingly smart, and completely unbothered by the dark nature of their business. But the moment Anthony saw Aria's picture in her file, something shifted inside him. He didn't just see a brilliant asset. His eyes locked onto her confident eyes, her gorgeous face, and the full, tight curves of her silhouette. Anthony was instantly darkly obsessed. 2 weeks before the grand gala, Aria was sitting in her dim, private office late at night, reviewing financial spreadsheets. The building was completely empty, the silence only broken by the soft ticking of the clock. Suddenly, the heavy oak doors of her office clicked open. Aria looked up, a reprimand on her lips, but the words froze in her throat. 3 tall men in tailored dark suits stepped into her room, moving with a chilling, predatory synchronization. They didn't look like common criminals. They carried themselves with the cold authority of executioners. They split up, standing guarding at the exits, before a 4th man stepped through the doorway. It was Anthony Valenti. Seeing him in person was entirely different from seeing him on the news. He was massive, his broad shoulders and thick chest straining against his dark silk shirt. His jawline was so sharp it looked carved from stone, complemented by a perfectly straight, immaculate beard. His dark eyes locked onto Aria, tracking the rise and fall of her chest as her breathing quickened. "Aria Vance," Anthony said, his voice a deep, resonant baritone that vibrated through the small room. "Who are you? How did you get past security?" Aria demanded, forcing her voice to remain steady despite the violent hammering of her heart. She stood up, her form-fitting dress highlighting her wide hips and heavy chest. Anthony's gaze swept over her body, not with the judgment she was used to from Mark, but with an intense, burning hunger that made her skin flush. He walked forward slowly, stopping right at the edge of her desk. He placed 2 heavy, scarred hands on the wood, leaning in. "Security works for me, Principessa," Anthony murmured, a dark smile playing on his lips. "And as for who I am the man who is about to hand you the keys to a financial empire. I have watched your work. You are a genius with numbers. My family has several legitimate shipping companies that require a woman of your caliber to manage. You work for me now." Aria scoffed, crossing her arms defiantly, a gesture that only accentuated her tight figure. "I don't work for criminals, Mr. Valenti. I choose my own clients. Now please, leave my office before I call the police." Anthony didn't flinch. He simply reached into his jacket and pulled out a thick leather folder, dropping it onto her desk. "Open it." Aria hesitated, then opened the file. Her eyes widened. Inside were detailed documents proving that Mark, her ex-husband, had embezzled millions of dollars from his own company and was currently trying to frame Aria for the fraud to ruin her reputation permanently. "Your ex-husband is an idiot," Anthony said coldly, his jaw tightening. "He thinks he can destroy you. But I don't let anyone touch what I want. You sign a contract with the Valenti family, and by tomorrow morning, Mark's entire life will belong to you. Refuse me, and you face the federal charges he set up for you. What is your choice, Aria?" Aria looked at the evidence, then looked up into Anthony's fierce, unwavering eyes. She realized she had no choice. She was stepping into the lion's den, but for some reason, looking at Anthony's protective, commanding stance, she felt safer than she ever had with Mark. "I'll do it," Aria whispered, "but under one condition. This is purely a business arrangement." Anthony leaned closer, his dark scent of expensive cologne and tobacco enveloping her. He reached out, his thick fingers gently brushing against her jawline, causing a violent shiver to run down her spine. "For now, Principessa," Anthony murmured, his voice laced with a dangerous promise. "For now." Over the next 2 weeks, Aria became the ghost managing the Valenti family's multi-million-dollar legitimate fronts. She worked from a secure penthouse apartment Anthony had provided for her, surrounded by 24-hour security. Anthony visited her almost every night, ostensibly to review the financial ledgers, but Arya could feel the true motive behind his presence. Every time he entered the room, his eyes would immediately find her. He never commented on her weight, nor did he ever look at her with anything less than absolute reverence. Whenever she wore tight, form-fitting clothes while working, Anthony's gaze would darken, his jaw clenching as he controlled his base desires. Arya found herself blossoming under his attention, her deep-seated insecurities slowly melting away. One stormy night, the rain was pouring violently against the glass windows of the penthouse. Arya was exhausted, her hair cascading wildly down her shoulders as she wore a tight, low-cut black lounge dress. She was pouring herself a glass of water in the kitchen when the front door opened, and Anthony stepped inside. But something was wrong. Anthony wasn't wearing his suit jacket. His white silk shirt was torn at the shoulder, soaked in rain and stained with a deep crimson color. He was breathing heavily, his face pale, his large hand clutching his side. "Anthony!" Arya gasped, dropping her glass. It shattered on the floor as she rushed toward him. Anthony leaned heavily against the wall, a low groan escaping his lips. "Ambush!" On the highway, he growled through gritted teeth, his jawline locked in pain. "My men handled it, but one of the bastards got a lucky shot." "Don't call a doctor, Arya. The hospitals are watched. Just get the medical kit from my bedroom." Arya didn't hesitate. Her survival instincts took over. She ran to his bedroom, grabbed the heavy black medical kit, and rushed back to the living room. Anthony had collapsed onto the leather sofa, his shirt completely unbuttoned, revealing his massive, heavily muscled chest covered in old scars and fresh blood. Arya knelt before him, her tight dress straining against her curves as she moved urgently. She poured antiseptic over her hands and looked at the wound. A bullet had grazed his lower ribs, tearing through the flesh but leaving no shrapnel inside. "This is going to hurt," Arya warned, her hands trembling slightly as she picked up the medical needle and thread. Anthony looked down at her, his dark eyes burning with an intense, unreadable emotion despite his agony. "Just do it, Principessa." Arya leaned in close, her face inches from his chest. As she carefully began to stitch the wound, her breasts pressed lightly against his arm. Anthony let out a sharp, ragged breath, his muscles flexing violently beneath her fingers. "Am I hurting you?" Arya asked softly, looking up into his face. "No," Anthony growled, his voice thick with a sudden, overwhelming tension that had nothing to do with the bullet wound. He reached up with his uninjured arm, his massive hand wrapping around the back of her neck, tilting her face up toward his. "You're driving me insane, Arya. You kneel here, looking like a goddess, putting your hands on me. Do you have any idea what you do to me?" Arya's breath hitched. "Anthony, we have a business agreement." "To hell with the agreement," Anthony muttered darkly. He pulled her closer, his gaze dropping to her full, trembling lips. "I have spent my entire life surrounded by women who starve themselves to fit into high society. They are fragile, fake, and empty. But you are a real woman. Your curves, your fullness, your mind. You are beautiful, Arya. I want to build an empire just to lay it at your feet." Arya felt a warmth bloom deep inside her chest, a feeling so intense it terrified her. Before she could answer, Anthony leaned up, pressing his lips against hers in a fierce, possessive kiss that tasted of rain, blood, and absolute devotion. Arya melted into his embrace, her heavy curves pressing flat against his muscular chest as the storm raged outside. In that moment, she knew she belonged to the mafia boss. By the end of the week, Anthony's wound had healed, and the tension between them had reached a boiling point. The night of the annual Grand Regent Gala arrived, the biggest high society event of the year, where every billionaire, politician, and crime lord in the country gathered to flaunt their wealth. Anthony had insisted that Arya attend with him. He wanted her beside him as his official corporate advisor, but Arya knew it was much more than that. He wanted to introduce her to his world. Arya stood in front of the full-length mirror in her penthouse, her heart racing. Anthony had sent a team of high-fashion designers to tailor a custom dress for her. It was a deep, rich red velvet gown, designed specifically to accentuate her full hourglass figure rather than hide it. The neckline plunged low, showing off her full chest, and the fabric wrapped tightly around her wide hips, falling into a dramatic train. She stared at her reflection, feeling a deep wave of sudden insecurity. The dress was incredibly bold. It left nothing to the imagination. She could hear Mark's cruel voice echoing in her head. "You look ridiculous. Nobody wants a heavy girl." Suddenly, the mirror reflected another figure standing behind her. Anthony had entered the room silently. He was wearing a flawless three-piece black tuxedo that emphasized his massive, powerful physique. His chiseled jaw was freshly shaved, his beard trimmed to perfection. He stopped right behind her, his dark eyes locking onto her reflection in the glass. Arya looked down, her hands trembling. "Anthony, I don't know if I can wear this. It's too tight. People are going to stare at me. They're going to think I look fat." Anthony's expression turned dead serious. He stepped forward, his towering frame completely blocking out the rest of the room. He placed his heavy hands firmly on her bare shoulders, his touch warm and grounding. He leaned down, his lips brushing against her ear. "Let them stare," Anthony murmured, his voice laced with absolute conviction. "They will look at you because you are the most beautiful, striking woman in that entire room. Look at yourself, Arya. Your curves are not a flaw. They are a sign of wealth, beauty, and power. You are my queen. Hold your head up high, and let the world see what belongs to Anthony Valenti." Arya looked back up into the mirror, meeting his intense, protective gaze. The cruel echo of her ex-husband's voice vanished completely, replaced by the deep, unyielding validation of the most dangerous man in the city. She took a deep breath, her confidence returning tenfold. She was ready. The grand ballroom of the Grand Regent Hotel was a sea of glittering diamonds, expensive silk, and arrogant laughter. When Anthony entered the room, the crowd parted naturally, local politicians and international businessmen bowing their heads in silent respect. But Anthony didn't look at any of them. His arm was wrapped firmly around Arya's waist, guiding her through the crowd with a fierce possessiveness. Arya held her head high, her red velvet dress drawing the eyes of every man and woman in the room. Some women whispered behind their hands, judgmental of her fullness, but the men looked at her with open envy, recognizing the raw, voluptuous beauty that Anthony was proudly flaunting. "I need to speak with the governor for a brief moment, Principessa," Anthony whispered, his hand gently squeezing her hip. "Stay near the champagne fountain. My men are watching you from the balcony. No one will dare touch you." Arya nodded, smiling softly. "Go. I'll be perfectly fine." She walked over to the crystal fountain, taking a glass of champagne. She felt alive, empowered by her new reality. But her peace was shattered when a sharp, deeply familiar voice spoke from behind her. Well, look who managed to squeeze herself into a dress." Arya froze, her blood turning to ice. She turned around to face Mark, her ex-husband. He was standing there with a smug grin, holding a glass of wine, dressed in an expensive tuxedo that couldn't hide his weak, pathetic posture. "Mark," Arya said coldly, her voice dropping all warmth. "What are you doing here?" Mark laughed scoffingly, walking closer until he was standing right in her personal space. "I belong here, Arya. My company is thriving. But you? Did you honestly think a tight dress would hide all that extra weight? Look around you. This is a high society event. Nobody here wants a heavy girl. You look ridiculous. You don't belong in this world. You're just a chubby, abandoned wife trying to pretend she's elite." The words cut deep, triggering all the old pain Arya had buried. She felt the eyes of the nearby guests turning toward them, hearing the quiet snickers as Mark publicly humiliated her. Her grip on her champagne glass tightened, her confidence faltering as she looked down. "Get away from me, Mark," Arya whispered, her voice trembling. "Or what?" Mark sneered, leaning in closer, his eyes full of malice. "Who is going to stop me? You're nothing without me, Arya." You're just a fat, lonely woman who... Repeat what you just said to her. The voice didn't come loudly, but it cut through the ballroom like a razor blade. The classical music seemed to die instantly, the entire crowd falling into a terrified silence as a massive shadow fell over Mark. Anthony Valenti had returned. Anthony walked forward with the slow, deliberate grace of an apex predator. His chiseled jaw was clamped shut, the muscles ticking violently under his neatly trimmed beard. His dark eyes were filled with a murderous fury that made even his own bodyguards on the balcony tighten their grips on their weapons. He stopped right behind Arya. Without a single word, he placed his large, heavy hand on her waist, pulling her tight figure flush against his solid, muscular chest. The gesture was a loud, clear declaration to the entire room. This woman is mine. Mark turned around, the smug smile vanishing from his face instantly as he looked up, and up, at the towering form of the mafia boss. He recognized Anthony immediately. Everyone knew the face of the man who ran the underworld. Mark's face drained of all color, his skin turning a ghostly white as he began to tremble. Mr. Valenti, Mark stammered, his voice cracking with pure terror. I was just... She's my ex-wife, I was just joking around. We were just having a private conversation. Anthony stepped forward, forcing Arya to move with him, his grip on her waist never loosening for a fraction of a second. He leaned his massive frame down until his sharp face was inches away from Mark's sweating nose. The sheer pressure radiating from Anthony was enough to bring men to their knees. She is no longer your concern, Anthony spoke, his voice a low, terrifying rumble that vibrated through the silent ballroom. He looked at Mark like he was a disgusting insect waiting to be crushed under his shoe. Then he delivered the ultimate dark threat, his 7 words echoing with absolute finality. Apologize to my queen or bleed out. Mark's legs gave out completely. Under the crushing weight of Anthony's gaze, the arrogant businessman collapsed directly onto his knees on the hard marble floor. He looked up at Arya, tears of pure terror welling in his eyes as he realized his life hung by a single thread. I'm sorry, Arya, Mark begged, his hands shaking violently as he looked at her red dress. I'm so sorry. I was wrong, you're beautiful, please forgive me. Mr. Valenti, please don't kill me. The elite guests watched in absolute shock as the wealthy businessman wept on the floor, completely ruined in a matter of seconds. Arya looked down at her ex-husband, feeling no pity, only a deep, profound sense of liberation. The man who had destroyed her self-esteem for years was now groveling at her feet, broken by the mere protective presence of her new man. Anthony didn't even look at Mark as he gestured to his security guards. Get this garbage out of my sight. If he ever breathes the same air as her again, bury him. The guards dragged Mark away like a sack of dirt, his desperate cries fading into the distance. The Empire's queen. The ballroom remained perfectly silent, no one daring to speak or move after witnessing the brutal dominance of the crime lord. Anthony ignored the crowd completely. He slowly turned his body toward Arya, his large hands moving to cup her face gently, his rough thumbs wiping away a single stray tear that had escaped her eye. His fierce, dangerous expression vanished, replaced by a deep, burning tenderness that was reserved solely for her. He looked down at her striking facial features, then let his gaze slide down over the beautiful, full curves of her tight red velvet gown. Did his words hurt you, Principessa? Anthony asked softly, his voice full of protective warmth. Arya looked up into his dark eyes, a brilliant, confident smile finally breaking across her face. She reached up, placing her hands over his muscular chest, feeling the steady, powerful heartbeat beneath her palms. No, Arya whispered, her voice strong and steady. Anthony smiled, a rare, beautiful sight that made his chiseled jaw look even more striking. He wrapped his arm back around her waist, pulling her close as he turned to face the entire room of elite billionaires. He raised his champagne glass, his voice commanding the attention of every soul in the building. Listen to me carefully, Anthony announced, his voice echoing with absolute authority. This is Arya Vance. She is no longer just my financial advisor. She is the woman who holds the keys to my heart, my wealth, and my syndicate. From this night forward, she is the queen of the Valenti Empire. Anyone who disrespects her, anyone who looks at her with anything less than total reverence, answers directly to my blade. A single, loud cheer erupted from the balcony where Anthony's mafiosi stood, and slowly, the entire room began to clap, bowing their heads to the new power couple of the city. Anthony looked down at Arya, his eyes dark with promise. Every single inch of your curves belongs to my empire now, Arya, and I protect what is mine. Tonight we celebrate. Tomorrow, I hand you the deeds to Mark's former companies. You are a queen now, and it's time you start ruling. Arya leaned into his side, her full body fitting perfectly against his muscular frame. For the first time in her life, she didn't want to hide. She was proud of her body, proud of her mind, and ready to rule the dark empire beside the man who worshipped her very existence.